of you. You're not making up that much hate.
It's true. Just like love is love, hate is hate. I think.
As good as I'm gonna be today, man.
I hear you. All right.
And we are live. Welcome to NBA Live Before Lock. It is Thursday, April 11th. I am Josh Engleman. I'm joined by Eric Lindquist. We are brought to you by Sleeper. And we only have 5 games tonight, but boy, oh boy, is this a disgusting set of 5 games. We got a lot of Boston in. Didn't see that one coming earlier today. We have nobody in for the Utah Jazz. That's going to be a real blast for everybody to experience. And we're going to break all of that down right now. So hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live, and follow us both on Twitter. Eric, what's good?
Not much. Just went and hit some golf balls over lunch. We had our meeting and then just went and did that. Let's see what else is going on in the world. The Masters thing, it's going okay so far. Not enough Bryson in my life so far. So hopefully he falls a little by the wayside over the weekend. But just kind of tracking everything. Did you end up playing PGA DFS?
Yeah, I had a couple of tickets. It was really weird. I don't know what I got them for, but I must have opted into something. So I got like 5 random tickets into some contest, and the payout is like 10K up top, 1,000 to like 7th or 8th, but there's like 600 entries. I was just like, oh, this is an actual tournament that I could sweat. And then I had one Millie ticket that I entered, and I was looking at my Millie lineups, like to figure out which one I wanted to pick. And I was like, oh, Bryson, EVR. Now I'm gonna go to this next one. And, well, you know, that one started off pretty decent.
Hail as old as time. Yeah, no, it's legitimately PGA DFS in a nutshell. But
Baseball was death.
Who was it?
Baseball was death.
Yeah, baseball was absurd. The Hunter Brown, I haven't seen a negative 23 or whatever he ended up finishing up with next to a name in quite some time. Covered that last night, basically said Bobby Witt, 2+ hits, 3+ hits was pretty live. Didn't see him covering it in 2 or 3 at-bats, but there you are, a couple of double dongs. He's outrageously good, but Hunter Brown, that was, I think we're probably seeing a AAA demotion in his near future. This feels like the skinny Alek Manoah.
I had 60%.
Oh,
I also jammed the Mets. So I had like 300% exposure to the Mets.
They were awesome.
If you just showed me that, I'd be like, oh, cool. I probably had a real decent shot at 50K. But because I had 60% of Hunter Brown and most of my lineups were immediately taking a negative 24, didn't really get me that far.
Nope. That's painful. I'm sorry that happened to you. But you know what? We can make it back on the 2-game MLB. Yeah, no, we're actually playing NBA tonight. So that's going to be fun.
Milton J says, baseball's awful. Rather watch paint dry. I used to think that exact same thing. It moves so much faster now. And like, obviously the pitch clock has something to do with it, but it's a much better experience than it had been in the past couple of years.
It's a much better sport. For me, I wasn't like a diehard baseball fan. Like I grew up a Kirby Puckett, truther, Kent Herbeck, like big diehard Twins fan in the early 90s. And then once they fell apart and we had like no team, it was a pretty tough one to stay invested in for a 162 game season, just getting pummeled by the Yankees in the playoffs every single year. But nowadays, I moved to LA and it was just like Dodger Stadium was the cheapest ticket in town. You could get like $15 on StubHub, go to the left field seats and go hit on some beautiful women. So it was really fun to do with my buddies. We would just go out there every single week. But it really does move much faster now in a way. Last couple of years, like that's the tough thing for them to figure out with these pitcher injuries is like, I enjoy that there's only been like 4 or 5 4-hour games in the last however many, like 2 seasons now or season and a half. I think that that's a good thing for baseball because the product was falling a little by the wayside. If you watch it now, it really does move. And I also like the pitchers. You have to face 3 batters. Like that's the other thing that's changed that I think for me adds a little bit more strategery, if you will. Really enjoy it.
Well, as much as I'm hoping that people want to listen to us talk about baseball, they'll probably do to start bitching at us shortly. And we just got multiple super chats. So let's just start it off there first. Sean Jeezy sending in the super chat. Don't know why you're doing that. We should probably send them to you with how often you win a mini-max. Okay. Which unowned donkey on the Pistons is going to be relevant tonight?
Thought about that a little bit earlier. I mean, Ivy's like the chalk answer because I think he's like the person I actually feel okay playing. It was really strange to see Evan Fournier just play 26 minutes and blowout run against Philly, but there you go. That might be the rando who ends up being somewhat competent. Um, as far as guys who are actually pulling ownership on that team, Chimezi Metu, so long as he starts, I mean, it just makes all the sense in all the land today. But yeah, we're going to be waiting on a piece of news that, well, actually, just throughout the entire evening, going to the Golden State side of things, like I doubt I get to a ton of Chicago, Detroit. Detroit, nothing to play for. Chicago, playing it straight up, but like it's pretty locked in at this point in time where Chicago doesn't need to do anything. Like they're the 9 seed no matter what. So I'm pretty much looking at that game as not a write off, but I will be very very light on it. That's for sure.
All righty. Yeah, as I look at Detroit, I mean, obviously Jaden Ivey is the guy, but I don't think he counts as unowned donkey. He's not going to be an unowned donkey for much longer. I don't want to say Metu. Is it Sasser? Is it just I mean, he's not going to be unowned either. I'm not a huge fan of anything bad on Detroit right now.
Yeah, for me, it's more like we have the THT piece. We like, do I want to spend a guard spot on Sasser? Like he's projected really, really well, but like there is eternal amounts of value coming up later in the Utah spot. I think Chicago on the other side of that game with Kobe White, now that we've got Io out, like there's ways to there's ways to just write off Detroit on this slate. I probably won't do it entirely, but like which unowned donkey? I think Sasser's he's not unowned even 16% at the moment. So I'm gonna go Jaden Ivey.
I'm going to hit Ethan King's super chat before I hit Ace of Spades Tears question, just because it's not a question. He said, bet unders on Doncic yesterday on FanDuel for 7x. Shout out Josh. Also shout out Eric for putting up with small leg Greg on other shows.
Man, no shit. No, it's about time somebody started calling him his rightful self, but I appreciate it. Unfortunately, my friend Josh over there lost by the hook, which breaks my heart because it was the right way to go about that spot. I can't believe how straight up Dallas played it. We also had the foul trouble for Luka. There was no reason he should have been going over anything yesterday, and for it to barely scathe him was painful to hear.
All right, here we go. Ace of Spades Tears. I know you want it. Let's do it now. I gotta find the actual tiers. There we go. Luka Doncic. That's not right.
That's not correct.
Is that tomorrow?
Yep.
Are all the tiers contests filled?
Let me see. There might not be anything crazy today. NBA tiers. Yeah, I'm looking at it. Starts
okay. Sabonis, Tatum, Fox, and Jalen Brunson.
That is going to be Sabonis for me.
Yeah, that's the bonus for me pretty easily too. First one I clicked on was I guess tomorrow's, and it was like those names. I don't remember looking at them at all today. Steph Curry, Zion Williamson, DeAndre Ayton, CJ McCollum.
Zion Williamson for me.
Zion Williamson for me as well. That's a really tight tier. I don't really have much of an issue going to any one of those individual plays right now. I have them all separated by 2 fantasy points. So
yeah,
that's a good place to get different.
McCollum's a little bit further back for me, but very much Zion, Steph, Ayton in that order.
I think we might get 40 minutes out of CJ, so I think there's a little bit of appeal there.
Oh, totally. That's the main reason that I like Zion so much, but McCollum more scoring dependent.
DeRozan, Vooch, Van Vliet, Jaylen Brown, Jalen Green, Derek White.
It is DeRozan by a lot for me.
It is. It is. Shout out Klay Thompson, baby. You my dude. I took your under on Prize Picks, and now you're not there. And I paired that with DeRozan, and I don't like the DeRozan one anymore. So I got bailed out. What up?
Yeah, that's me with well, actually, I like the pairing with it, but Banton questionable, downgraded to questionable was brutal for me. 32 fantasy score. I have him for like 37, and I was like, oh, this is a jam. But then Herb Jones showed up at like 23.5 and got introduced in the fantasy score realm where I like that even more. So paired that with all my stuff instead.
Yeah, I have no doubt in my mind now that DeMar is going under, but that's a whole different conversation. Jalen Duren, Dante DiVincenzo, Josh Hart, Jaden Ivey, Kuminga, Scoot, Banton.
Scoot.
Yeah, Scoot by quite a bit.
Yep.
Kobe White, Drew Holiday, Jabari Smith, Trey Murphy, Asar Thompson, Jabari Walker.
I have a weird one here. I think Amin Thompson is probably my favorite.
I've got Kobe White.
I don't mind that at all. I mean, it's for me, Amin Thompson, Kobe White, and Jabari Smith Jr. in that order.
Kobe White's been so bad lately. 0.81 fantasy points per minute over the last month. Not trending well. And that doesn't help in tiers where salary doesn't get to go down. Final tier 6. Chris Paul, Alex Caruso, Keontae George, Herb Jones, Andrew Wiggins, Trace Jackson Davis, Miles McBride.
Trace Jackson Davis.
I actually think I have Caruso here.
It's going to be close. This is a pretty close one. I've got Jackson Davis, Chris Paul, Caruso, all within a fantasy and a half point.
Yeah, these guys are all real tight, but I have Caruso by a half point over Trace Jackson Davis, so I'm going to go Caruso for that one.
There you go.
All righty, let's talk about the pay-up options on today's slate. Only one guy is passing up the 10K range. That's going to be Domantas Sabonis. And then we have Jason Tatum, Jalen Brunson, De'Aaron Fox, and Steph Curry all in the 9K range. I'm going to include Zion because the next closest guy after Zion is Ayton. That's a $500 gap. So from $8,900 Zion to Domantas Sabonis, what guy do you want the most here?
I want to get to Zion a lot at current ownership. 17.3% ownership, 21.3% optimal percentage. Brought him up in the tiers there earlier. I'm just higher on this entire game. I'm boosting minutes beyond where most places have him listed. I don't think anybody's missing the implications of this game, but one of the things that happens come playoff time, especially with like some of the injuries on the Sacramento side, some of the injuries, BI in particular on the New Orleans side, I think it's going to really condense down these rotations in an even more prominent way. Now, this isn't do or die, but New Orleans, 65% to get the 6th seed. Sacramento, 46% to get the 8, but still like 34% chance to get the 6 or 7. That is a very, very noticeable thing that you are playing for in this ball game today. So I look at the New Orleans and the Sacramento side, and pretty much anything that exists from it, I'm just a little bit higher on it would appear than the field is.
All righty. As I look at it, I'm kind of split. And maybe we'll see what happens when I run things again. I'm getting to a lot of Sabonis. I just don't find him all that difficult to get to. I'm pairing him with Fox. It seems like I'm just running out a Sacramento, get the best guys and hope for the best scenario right now because I'm nowhere near Jalen Brunson. I'm scared to be nowhere near Zion. I wanted to get to Steph. I think he's kind of a sneaky play today on a day where like Golden State desperately wants to continue to win and try to not be trapped in any sort of really negative play-in situation. But it looks like Fox and Sabonis are going to be the guys that are driving everything for me in the upper salary tier.
Yeah, I get that. I'm higher on Sabonis currently. I'm playing 25 lineups. I've got him right around 28%. So more than double the field on him. De'Aaron Fox, I'm at 32%. So I'm a little bit higher than the field. Might even boost him up a little bit in the Sims. Optimal percentage, although he is popping in the Sims, so you don't have to worry about that too much. Steph Curry, I think this is kind of where I get a little bit freaked out is Steph without Clay, without potentially other guys like I mean, we know Draymond's going to be out, although that's not going to kill him as much. DeAndre Ayton too, 8,400 for him, 2K less than Sabonis here. I just haven't been on the right side of Ayton here at all. I keep taking less than 24.5 points and feeling like an idiot for it as he puts up 30, 31 a night. But 8,400 for him, projected for 46 here at Stochastic. I feel as though he's just trimming a lot of that Sabonis where I would want it to be Sabonis. Maybe I just write it off here a little bit more, but having Trace Jackson Davis out there instead of Draymond Green, definitely going to be a benefit to DeAndre Ayton. I'm not in love with the ownership, obviously, but there's actually positive leverage on his 27% ownership, 29.6% optimal. I think that's kind of preventing me from just jamming. But as you said, it's not terribly cost prohibitive. We have eternal amounts of value with more to come. I do think that we should be able to get to Sabonis ad nauseum.
Do you have any interest in Jason Tatum? Because that feels like that guy is like bit close to impossible to want to play today.
Legitimately 0%. If he puts up 55 in 24 minutes, so be it. I find it impossible to click on anything with Boston and feel remotely good about it. They're screwing around at this point. If you've heard them talk about like Kristaps Porzingis trying different stuff with ball screens, and you know they're closing. I just brought it up when we were on the call earlier. The Sacramento closing lineup where they just kept all of their second unit out there for the entire rest of it, even though the game got closer and closer. They end up winning by 2. but they just have nothing to play for. And it makes it very difficult when there are teams with lots to play for, with potential tournament-like rotations in the New Orleans and Sacramento spot. Golden State with some guys that are kind of lingering there. I do think that it's just very difficult to talk myself into needing to have anything from Boston on the expensive end.
Are you surprised to see Jalen Brunson with the 30% ownership being the highest owned guy in the payoffs?
Yes and no. The Knicks have quite a bit to play for. You haven't really seen Brunson get the same crazy squeeze that we've seen from Miles McBride pre-OG Anunoby coming back. The same minutes for like the Josh Hart. Like we've seen 36, 38, 42, 39, 42, but there might be a game down the line where Jalen Brunson just plays forever. Again, from a projection standpoint, I'm with you. I don't necessarily agree for him being the highest owned piece at 8,300 or above. Like I prefer CJ McCollum. I prefer De'Aaron Fox. I prefer Steph Curry. I prefer pretty much everybody that's cheaper than him. And he's at 9,600 and pulling that kind of ownership. Even though it's Boston not trying and screwing around a little bit, there is no doubt that they're still a good basketball team, that they're still going to be throwing second unit guys out there that still know how to play and are pretty proficient. So like Jalen Brunson, I get why he's projected for more than 50. I get why he's 30.5% owned. I just disagree with making him like the stand I have. I just have too much interest in the evening. I just find every expensive guard to be more appealing there.
Oh God, I just ended up with a wealth of Darius Bazley. That feels disgusting.
Oh boy.
Love that conversation.
I used to be a Darius Bazley stan. Those were dark days. Those were dark days. I loved him as a young prospect. Like he's a good defensive player. Like he's had his moments, but he is so rough offensively. And I guess maybe I didn't necessarily watch him from that perspective where it's like, oh, if a team ever needed offense whatsoever from him, he can't do it. Like it's just, he is so bad on that end of the floor.
He is very bad on that end of the floor. All right. We have talked a lot about the pay-up options for today, but that leads us into a slightly different conversation. Sometimes this becomes difficult on a 5-gamer when the amount of opportunities shrink a little bit. We kind of run into a difficult situation. This is not necessarily an optimal scenario for you and I, but we're going to figure it out either way, because right now it is time for the exotic play of the day. One day that I'll only be able to control one side, but it's not yet.
That's a couple of bottles of whiskey later.
Honestly, if it's ever going to happen, it might be today. Who is the exotic play of the day for you?
Yeah, not Hunter Brown. Not Hunter Brown is what we're getting at. It's hard for me not to make it Domantas Sabonis. I'm sorry if I'm sniping him from you. You are the one who brought him up. You're going to go Caruso then. That's cool. But anyway, Domantas Sabonis is really in a good spot here. So you're taking away Larry Nance. Again, Larry Nance with New Orleans. This is kind of like his role. He comes in and starts second halves because they're up in games or just because they feel like it. Defensively, 83rd percentile defender. We are now replacing it with Jonas Valanciunas. And let me tell you, if you are new to the Jonas Valanciunas experience, friends, truly one of the most like illogically bad defenders you will ever watch in the NBA. He is like out there and he's like pretending like he's trying really hard, pivoting his head, looking around. He is clueless on the defensive end of the floor. He provides no utility. He has never gotten a steal in his life. He is truly just incompetent defensively beyond all measure. And now it's probably going to have to be a little bit of Cody Zeller, a little bit of Jeremiah Robinson Earl. But at the same time, Cody Zeller and Robinson Earl, I don't think that they want him necessarily showing up for more than 8-10 minutes. Jonas Valanciunas could be stepping into a much larger role than what we think here in tonight's ball game. And that creates an opportunity for Domantas Sabonis to just destroy faces. Got him in for 53 fantasy points, highest projected player on the slate. Domantas Sabonis, my exotic play of the night.
Give me 1 second. I got to open my door and let my dog out.
That is fair.
I don't know. Figure out whatever you think is Anyway,
Okay.
so I wasn't going to go to Sabonis. So you can have that one. That's okay for me right now. Naturally, my gaze is focused directly on Luka Samanic.
Oh my
60% owned. It's a very natural play to want to go to. He plays for the Utah Jazz. They've got nobody available except for terrible people like him. That should be the guy. It's not going to be the guy. And talking about this a couple minutes ago made me switch my option. I told you I had Klay Thompson and my card went away. And DeMar DeRozan is now going to go under his PRA because I don't have to worry about it any longer. So if DeMar's going to have a bad game, there's only one way to do this. And it's like this.
Oh,
Kobe
come
White
on.
is my white of the night. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Kobe White, white of the night. Doesn't get any better than that. Doesn't get any better than that.
It only gets better than that.
Kobe White.
My God.
Marvin says I'm cheating. How am I cheating? It's in the title of what we're doing. How can't he be the white of the night? He's more of the white of the night than anybody else on this slate.
He's born of the house White, first of his name. Unreal. You're unbelievable. What an addition you have been to Live Before Lock, I must say. You've taken every bit and you've ran with it to places that I didn't know it could go. But here we are, reinventing the game 6 months later.
Ugly in chat went with he black.
Oh, fuck off. Oh, hang on.
Oh, man.
That's fantastic. Oh, my
fantastic stuff here. So Kobe White, white of the night, guys. Join me. He's in 40% of my lineups right now. That's about where his ownership is. But if I need to get away from DeMar DeRozan, which I am, by the way, 55% owned, 10% of my lineups, nothing will work out better. You thought I was going to Caruso. You didn't get the right white from Chicago.
How could I? How dare I? What was I possibly thinking that you would go that direction with it? I mean, just I'm honestly speechless. Well done. Well done. Didn't see that one coming at any point.
Makes me really, I'm honestly proud of myself. I wouldn't have thought about it until we started talking about that DeRozan Prize Picks play, and it opened it up in my mind. So I knew I had to put a pin in it. Almost better than my white of the night being Kobe White is the fact that you can sign up for our UFC package for 30% off using the promo code 300. UFC 300 is coming up on Saturday, one of the biggest pay-per-views in MMA history. It's going to be a fantastic card to watch. The entertainment value alone is great. You should watch every fight up until the pay-per-view, and you should buy it. I'm not going to tell you to do what else you could do, but anyway, watch it. You should also play UFC DFS. It's a fun sweat. It's an aggravating sweat for sure. But we've got all the tools for you. We've got the projections. We've got the ownership. We've got the top stacks tool. And we have MMA sims ready to go for you. You can get it all for 30% off. And you can have it for a month. There's UFC cards every single Saturday. You're not going to miss out on anything if you want to play after UFC 300. But you can use that promo code to get yourself 30% off. I can't wait. I'm so pumped to watch that on Saturday.
It's going to be fantastic. I'm way too invested from last year in DraftKings makers. I'm just going through some of my lineups right now for this week, and I just got done putting everything together. Hopefully nothing changes because I really don't want to have to deal with it again until Saturday. But I am really excited. Like, some people weren't happy with Pereira Hill. I think it's going to be a pretty decent one. I'm really excited for Gaethje Holloway. I as like a new person to MMA, like, Holloway has been getting cake puff matchups the last couple. I'm excited to see him and Gaethje go at it because this should be an all-out 5-round war.
I like this fight for Max, but we'll see if that goes well or not. Gaethje, just so much power, it might not matter. But I think Max is going to be fast enough to get to his chin prior to the load. But either way, I just want to watch the living shit out of that. I think Pereira smokes Hill. I think Hill's fraudulent.
You do. Yeah, I don't believe. I mean, Hill's coming off injury too, right?
Yeah. I think Pereira finds that chin and he goes
night.
Yep.
Yeah, it's gonna be
And that'll be at
fun.
1:30 a.m.
Yeah, Jan Janan is gonna die though, so I'm probably not even gonna watch that one. I'll probably just get a drink or something.
Alrighty. Where were we? GPP plays. This is where it starts to get fun. I got a couple dudes that I'm like massively over the field on. Some of this stuff is disgusting, but I'm gonna throw it to you first. Maybe you could take one of those bullets.
That's fair. Oh, you're just having me talk about it first. I'm in love with Scoot Henderson. I'm a little bit surprised. He's pretty much flat leverage, 23%, but I feel like on a 5-game slate with a lot of value and like we have guys who are 60, 80% owned from Utah. I really like the idea of getting to him. And I really like the idea of Amin Thompson as well, but he's pulling a little bit more ownership. He has the point guard small forward eligibility, which is always a trip. But Scoot Henderson at point guard only 6,900. If you do not have Banton out there, look at these rotations. Look at what we have in store for Portland. They don't really have any guards on the bench, like, period. Like, I don't know if Ashton Haggins ends up with the team, if he's going to actually be there or not. Justin Minaya, not a guard, forward. Duop Wraith, center. If Banton is out, you're looking at Scoot Henderson and Chris Murray potentially playing 40 each. And, like, I think that leads me to Chris Murray. Like, Chris Murray's not a good fantasy performer, but I think the minutes are just so ridiculously secure for those two, barring foul trouble, that, like, Portland doesn't really have a choice but to roll them out there for eternal minutes. And, like, Scoot's been bad enough this season. You probably play him in a blowout no matter what. You probably just have him play 40 minutes in a lot of situations if Banton's out. So for me, I'm just kind of looking at that Portland spot. I'm already loading up on New Orleans, Sacramento. There's very appealing stuff on Golden State now to try to make work. So should be able to mix and match enough pieces there. I really like Scoot Henderson.
Scoot Henderson, 75% of my lineups, my third most exposed guy, the top of the list of guys I'm most over the field on. So you beat me to it on that one.
There you go. I apologize.
That's good. The crowd should like this. You and I are on the same pay up option. Are we both drinking iced coffees too?
No, I've got some smoothie thing from Whole Foods. It's just like, oh, it's really good.
Smoothies?
Yeah, so they just changed up their smoothie list or whatever it is. And so I wouldn't like hit golf balls and try to like get that in for half an hour for lunch. I just kind of go down and go hit balls with my buddy Satch, and we just go get smoothies afterwards, just like bros do, right?
Did you hit the hot bar? No?
No.
Why the... Did you think I said something else?
I did. I think you said something else.
I asked if you hit the hot bar.
No, we did not.
Okay. I'm a big fan of the Whole Foods hot bar when I go to Whole Foods.
No, so I like the cold. So they have like a pretty good special. It's like $12 or $14 or whatever it is. They had a burger going today. I ended up just getting like the salad bar cold stuff and then got a smoothie to go. It was pretty chill. It's pretty chill.
I understand how you could be dubious.
Oh, Kyrie Irving's out tomorrow now? Great. Kyrie Irving's out tomorrow? Thanks, Dallas. Awesome, guys. God. You fucking kidding me, Dallas?
What are you going to do? I got another GPP play for everybody. I got a couple of them, actually. I have multiple dudes where I'm like 25 to 30% over the field. So I'll hit the first one that people will actually like to play. Getting slept on I mean, he's owned, but he's not getting owned as much as you would think. I've got a ton of Jalen Green, 8,400. There's nothing on Utah. They're the worst defense in the league. And it's not just right now. For the year, they have the 30th ranked defense. And the best dude defensively for that team is not playing today. I think he can carve them up. I think he gets to the rim at will. I don't think he meets a lot of resistance. I think Jalen Green is in for a big game. Somebody that you could pay up for as well. Plenty of salary to go around. I mentioned getting to a lot of Darius Bazley. That's probably something that I'm going to work my way back off of, at least a little bit. Because I think that I have... The problem with Utah is like getting their rates dialed in for everything that's left here is pretty difficult. This is not a team that's drowning in talent and talent that have played with these guys before. So it's easy to overrate some usage points when you just don't know if it's going to go to THT, Lucas Samanic, Johnny Juzang, Bryce Sensabaugh. Like, you sense a pattern here. So I do like him as a value option just because of that power forward eligibility and $3,600 price tag, but not necessarily the guy I want everybody to join me 4. The other guys that I'm over on, Sabonis, CJ McCollum, those names aren't as surprising, although CJ quite a bit less owned than Jalen Green right now.
Yeah, that's pretty wild to me, but I'm with you. Seeing 38 minutes and 40 minutes for Fred VanVleet feels like there's going to be a choice, like there's going to be a chance eventually for them to slide back off of that, I would think. So I'm with you. Jalen Green, probably the guy the most appealing from Houston. They just want to keep him rocking. I can't remember. This is a little bit off topic, but I'm just curious if you remember where you heard it from or if you heard this at all. But there was somebody talking about Walker Kessler playing on the Olympic team. Was it JJ Redick or somebody else where they were like, we should get Walker Kessler just for defensive purposes?
I didn't hear that, but whoever said it is incorrect.
Yeah, they're moronic because then you have a flat out zero offensively. And like, also, we have better defenders than Walker Kessler.
I think Anthony Davis and Bam will be fine.
I would think so, but somebody brought that up the other day, and it was a talking head person, and I can't remember who it was.
Was Danny Ainge on ESPN or on First Take?
Yeah, I don't even know if Danny Ainge likes him that much anymore. Looked pretty smart after the rookie season where Rudy Gobert, you could have just like flip-flopped, but this season, Walker Kessler, no development offensively whatsoever. It has been brutal to watch.
Brick 9227, he's not even a good defender. Now that's also equally as incorrect as suggesting that he should be on our Olympic team. Fantastic defender. But
we have better, and we have non-zero offensive players that can do that. But yeah, he was like 94th percentile defender last year.
Yeah, just AD, Bam, they could lock that down. I'm probably missing another center that's very obvious, but definitely ahead of Walker Kessler in this situation. Anybody else you're looking?
Jarrett Allen.
Sure. But I'm better than Walker Kessler for sure. Yeah. And he's not in sniffing distance of making the team. You taking any flyers on anybody else?
A lot of flyers on other dudes. Trace Jackson Davis pulling no ownership. I think he could step into a lot more minutes without Draymond Green. I do think they probably dust off the corpse of Kevon Looney for some kind of minutes tonight. Yeah. You never know how they're going to close, but Ayton's out there, which makes me think you're going to have Trace Jackson Davis or Kevon Looney more than likely be out there for it. Maybe they go eternally small with Kuminga at the 5, but that seems like a recipe for disaster with what Ayton's been doing. I think that probably just necessitates having him on the floor more. Center is pretty awesome in a lot of ways because Omer Yurtseven is just undeniably going to project out well at 4,500. And then we have Vooch in a game that matters. We have Ayton just doing crazy things. We have Domantas Sabonis, but Trace Jackson Davis at 5,700, kind of a different level, a different tier of where he's landing. And then Jonas Valanciunas. I'm just going to throw it out there, 5,200. I know that there are a lot of ways that this goes wrong. Like, I'm very aware that Jonas Valanciunas could play 18, 19 minutes. They could go to Robinson Earl. And then if Najee Marshall is in, I don't feel especially good about what those minutes can be, because the last time that we saw Larry Nance out, which was, I believe, on the 16th of March, we saw Najee Marshall close at the 5. And for me, that freaks me out a lot that Jonas Valanciunas would be alive for that. But that Najee Marshall Q tag, if he ends up out, I can promise you Jonas Valanciunas will be in as many lineups as I possibly can get to, and which probably going to be a lot. I think there's no way that Jonas Valanciunas plays less than 20 minutes in the event that you have Najee Marshall out. And I think there's upside for like 28, 30, and we know how insanely good of a fantasy producer he is. So I know it seems like a very suspect Q tag for me to call out, but I do think Najee Marshall's status matters big time for Jonas Valanciunas.
Joe Val, man, is he the scariest dude to roster? Well, he might not be. He might be the second scariest guy to roster. And I don't just mean today, but like I just mean in general, where you pray for that day where he gets 28 or 29 minutes and then you play him and he plays 19. Joe Val is probably the king of that. But the other king of that is also the chalk play of today. We haven't talked about it yet. 81% owned Talen Horton-Tucker, live to play 0 minutes, live to play 36 minutes. No one ever knows. This is he like the most frequent chalk play that always fails?
I mean, he's from Iowa State, so like, what could possibly go wrong? Iowa State people are perfect.
No wonder he sucks.
Why is it funny when you make fun of me in such condescending ways? I
I'm
don't get
so
it.
good at it. It's
Yeah,
incredible.
and you love it. You did it like 14 times on the call too. You're just like, you just throw little barbs in. You're kind of like a brother in like a way that I don't want you to be. So that's cool.
To be fair, they set me up perfectly for that Lindy's comment on the call. Look, that should be, you should wear that because you do smash on those videos.
Thank you.
It's a true statement.
Thank you.
That's the only, if you didn't, then I wouldn't have been able to make that joke. It was only there because of its success.
I really appreciate you in pretty much every way, shape, or form. It feels nice. It feels nice. There you go. That was the closest I'll get to an apology, so I'll take it.
Yeah, that's the closest I've ever been to apologizing. So let's talk through THT because he's the elephant in the room, and he might end up just being an ant.
I have 100%, so I don't.
I have 80, which is I wouldn't like it could just as easily be 100 if I sorted that slightly differently. But it only got to 80. I don't know what else to do.
You do it. He's such a good fantasy point per minute guy. He finds such ways to just get there as long as he gets minutes. He has a 0% bust percentage next to his name in the boom bust tool. 0.
Oh, chat's gonna have a field day with that one.
Well, I'm pretty. He plays in the NBA. He's gonna have 100% bust rate in that regard. But he lives in Utah, so probably a 0% bust rate.
I don't think it matters for him anymore.
Oh, not.
Yeah, I mean that dude busts constantly.
Lord have mercy, I'm about to bust.
Yeah,
that was he died. Rip.
Who did?
That little bald guy from Ellen or whatever. The guy he did like oh Lord have mercy, I'm about to bust. That guy.
From
you know
Ellen?
what I'm talking about? Yeah, he was like this little old guy that would come on and use like a Southern gay guy that just was hilarious.
It's fitting that you apparently watched Ellen and we face swapped you onto Ellen. So it makes significantly more sense now.
So Taylor Horton Tucker, I'm pretty sure you should just play a lot of tonight. I think that's what we're getting at. Yeah.
I agree. He's the best play on today's slate.
Mike Lawrence just said that.
Go ahead.
Mike Lawrence just said that little bald guy is Ellen.
Now my dog's crying outside the door.
Oh, good.
Make up your mind, brother. Figure out what you want to do and do it. Is Luka Samanic the second best play today?
No, not in my lineups, but I get it. Like he's 3,600. He should be playing quite a bit. So there's that. I just don't want to have a crazy amount of exposure to somebody that I don't think they have to be locked into. I think it's a little bit weird that Bryce Sensabaugh is coming off the bench too here in a lot of scenarios, like that they went to Samanic, they switched that up, and there's no reason that Bryce Sensabaugh comes in, plays well, that he can't play a little bit more. So for me, it's I get the 3,600 price tag, but he's not quite THT's level, and that's why the projection is what it is. I have no problem playing Luka Samanic. I have 30% of him, but like what is that? Half the field, almost exactly. That's just, it's not my favorite play to get to today. I'd rather get different off of Samanic than different off of THT, which again, sounds terrifying.
He is also in 80% of my stuff right now. So it's the tag team of Taylor Horton Tucker and Luka Samanic, which are basically the bushwhackers for today.
What could possibly go wrong? I think that the other part too is that like, if you get Banton out, if you get Gary Payton out, there's going to be something in Golden State Portland that looks a lot better. And then if you get Najee Marshall out, I think that really opens up minutes for like a Dyson Daniels, even though I do think it's more like playoff rotations where I want to get to anybody who's starting there. And then J-Val just becomes like the jam city for me. But I am at least interested by like a Moses Moody or something else there. Because like if Samanic plays 27, 28 minutes, Sensabaugh plays 24, 25. I think there's a lot of ways where something in Golden State Portland looks a little bit better, and I would just rather trim my ownership off of that. But I'm probably with you right now. If the slate started and everybody was in, I would probably maybe give it a little bit of a boost. But I've made some measures to like plan for the Najee Marshall thing, and that's why it's showing up just 30% of my lineups. I'd definitely have more if I wasn't making those like preconceived notions.
We have become death, destroyer of lineups. Who will be today's nuke of the night? Who you got, baby? Who's the nuke of the night tonight?
Yeah, I maybe gave it away a little bit earlier than I should have, but looking at Portland, if you get Banton out, again, a late afternoon downgrade is never, ever good. We've seen guys play through it more often than not here in some spots, but there is no reason that Ashton Haggins or, he's really the only other guard that could potentially be on this roster for today. If that is going to be the case, I don't see any way around Scoot Henderson in massive amounts. We have 23% ownership going towards him. I have 82% of him out of my top 50 lineups right now. And that is just not going to change. It's just not going to change in any way, shape, or form. He's already a good play. He could look ridiculous with a couple of extra minutes here. And I do think it's more likely than not that we see Banton sit. So as I said before, I've kind of made some changes to my lineups to account for that already. I've baked it in. And Scoot Henderson just looks outrageous at 6,900. Might be one of the most disappointing rookies this season. He can definitely still play defense for you, but you're just going to leave him on the floor in a spot like this, playing, one of the dynasties, if you will, of the NBA here. Steph on the other side. So it should be fun to watch. Not Anthony Simons. I almost screwed it up. Scoot Henderson, your nuke of the night.
I mentioned my guy before, and I have a ton of them too. He's 21% owned. 1.25 fantasy points per minute over the last 30 days. That's exactly where I have him in this spot. And this spot is about as good as it gets. The defense is terrible. They play at a relatively fast pace. And I don't think Omer Yurtseven is going to provide enough resistance when he gets to the rim. So Jalen Green is my nuke of the night.
Very much here for it. Also, Scoot Henderson is a second percentile defender this year.
That's it's not first.
So you're saying there's a little bit better than one. Yeah, that's wild because one of his calling cards coming out was the fact that he was going to be a good defender no matter what. Just refreshed my stuff and then pulled up dunks and threes and was cross-referencing it. It was wild to see 2 next to his name there because anytime I watch him, it's like, oh, he's still a pretty competent defender. He's going out there trying to create havoc, but he gets in foul trouble stupidly. So I'm sure that's going to happen today.
You see the banner at the top of the screen. You see the logo on the TV behind Eric's head. Sleeper is the sponsor of this show. They also want you to hit the like button. They were in my ear letting me know that you guys should do that. You should also sign up at Sleeper using either the link that pops up in chat or the one in the description of this video. Up to a $500 deposit match bonus. It's the best deposit match that exists on any of these sites. And not to mention, this is the best part of it all. If you put in 500 and play through that, you're just starting off with a much better bankroll than you would have been if you were trying to deposit at a different site with a lower deposit bonus. Acquire the money as cheaply as possible, guys. It's the easiest thing for you to do. It's the whole goal. Make more money while we're doing this. We don't do this to make less. This is the easiest way to make more. They've got dynamic payouts, so you can go up to 100x on a card. You could use OddsShopper, by the way. Get additional plays at Sleeper. They're running free squares on a day-to-day basis. If you like the pick'em sites, if you're not in a legal sports betting state, there's absolutely no reason why you shouldn't try out Sleeper. The links are in chat or in the description of this video. Are you like the sign language interpreter for my read? I'm going to start saying weird stuff that you have to also do.
No.
Yeah. Like, do you ever see the sign language chick do like a Megan Thee Stallion song? I'm gonna make you do all of that kind of stuff.
Fantastic. X gonna give it to you. That'd be fun.
Oi. We're gonna have to add that little clip right there into the exotic play of the night.
I can spell my name in sign language.
Oof.
Coming up, I was confused. My mama kissing a girl. Fusion occurs coming up in a cold world. Daddy ain't around, probably out committing felonies. My favorite rapper used to check him. You hate me, don't? Okay, yep, you left.
Right. I wish I would have had the Obamquist photo locked and loaded there for a second.
I will say, my favorite impression that you've ever done is definitely the impression of Obama impressioning me. I hear it for like the last minute before I turn it off because I can't stand it anymore, but it's pretty good.
I'm gonna start working on it and really see if I can dial it in.
It's already pretty good. America, you're pretty good with it.
Who we fading?
Samanich for me to a certain extent, obviously not a 0%, but I am very much in the camp of I can't get to 52 and change DeMar DeRozan. There's a lot of pay up options. Small forward, power forward, pretty easy to fill out both of those spots today, specifically small forward. Can't really get there. Javonte Green pulling a ton of ownership. This is a guy that I've given a shout out for a couple times recently. I don't trust the minutes. I don't know what we're going to get out of them playing this one straight up, not straight up. How it, I just don't think Chicago has a lot of necessity to run these dudes out for eternal amount of minutes. Javonte Green's probably the guy they don't care about, but like for me, there's cheaper guys, THT and Luka Samanic, and some of the pieces from Portland that I'm taking shots on. Where Javonte Green in the first game of the night, not going to be somebody who makes their way into my lineups. And then the last one, Jabari Smith Jr. I don't know what's wrong with him right now at the moment. It's been just like maybe just Amin Thompson in the rebound rate. If you look around the industry, like 9.5 rebounds for Amin Thompson, 8.5 for Jabari Smith. He was like an automatic double-double once upon a time. There's no reason that he can't go out and just go obliterate Utah to some extent. But like Jalen Green, so much usage, so much opportunity. Same thing with, Fred VanVleet, just in terms of like, he's annoying to have out there at the end of the season when they should be giving some of the younger guys some run. You'd think Jabari Smith might play himself into, well, not play himself into more minutes, but like they should just give him more minutes as a result. But doesn't seem to be the case. So just kind of falling by the wayside at 6,200, kind of a dead zone for me if it's not going to be somebody with a crazy high upside that I see quite like a Scoot Henderson. Amin Thompson, even on his own team, is cheaper at 6,400 with multi-positional eligibility. So for me, that's just somebody falling apart too.
My current most under-owned play is DeMar DeRozan, which is very fitting for my white of the night. The last time that I faded DeMar DeRozan so aggressively, I believe he set the Toronto Raptors scoring record. So this one feels a lot like Luka Doncic. He definitely did that once, but I've probably faded him since then. But one of my more famous big fades prior to coming to Stochastic, he set the Raptors scoring record. So we know how this goes. Major fade for DeMar DeRozan. I've got a major fade on Omer Yurtseven. It appears that I'm zagging off of him and grabbing a little bit more of Darius Bazley. I'm also very light on Vooch. That kind of helps me for my path towards getting more of Kobe White. And then you mentioned him earlier as a bit of a like, but I'm pretty light right now on Amin Thompson. That should not be surprising if you watch this show for a while, because I basically haven't had that dude in weeks, even on the days where he was aggressively chalked. So those are my biggest fades here. Very small amounts of them, a third of the field at best.
Jabari's played 40 minutes back to back. Yeah, that's great. I'm talking about Jalen Green and the production. I'm talking about the fact that Fred VanVleet is still playing eternal amount of minutes. He's played what, 38, 44, 37 the last couple. It has not exactly been an enjoyable experience for anybody who generally rosters Jabari Smith here. But what I'm saying is that like I would like to see at 6,200 somebody who can play 40 minutes and potentially put up a 50 burger, which just seems out of the realm with the amount of usage and opportunity that's still going to Fred VanVleet, and obviously is going to Amin Thompson and Jalen Green, the younger guys there too. So, Jabari Smith, second year, it's been decent. You got to feel good if you're a Houston fan. You kind of rebuilt this team. Fred VanVleet signing there is still so weird to me and kind of not quite as offensively proficient as you would have hoped, but for the most part, this is a pretty nice young core that you have for Houston. Add another piece, maybe a piece in free agency. Alperen Sengun going down really sunk the ship. But yeah, Jabari Smith, you can't play everybody, guys. You can't play everybody on a slate like this.
Sasser, Ivy, Brown Jr., Metu, and Duran starting for the Detroit Pistons.
God, Sasser is showing up so much in the Sims.
I don't have him.
I don't either.
It is time for us to get into our final question of the day. And that's going to be about a beautiful but absolutely crazy woman. And that woman is Amber Heard. And we need to know, is she going to dump in the middle of your bed tonight? Who's the Amber Heard play of the day?
Probably going to be Summonich in my last run, I got up to 40%, so that feels better. So I'm not going to necessarily say him because I still have him in nearly half my lineups. I'm going to say Steph Curry. He's kind of the one guard that I'm not paying up for tonight. And we know Clay's out. We know Draymond's out. Like, this is going to be a tough spot for me to really want to jam him. I don't think Golden State needs to play him that much. I don't think they should play him that much. And there's no doubt that against Portland, without those guys out there, he could just make 9 threes, 10 threes and ruin me. But I have 0% of him. So that's cool.
Milton J says she ain't even hot. That's a crazy take.
What? Did you watch Aquaman, dude? Like, she's outrageously hot.
Yeah, it's
undeniably hot, undeniably crazy, but undeniably hot.
She's always been an absolute dime.
Yeah, that take honestly is worse than anything I've said on these shows, and I've said some terrible takes. I recommended a guy who did not leave a bench in Day'Ron Sharpe one day.
There you go. All right, so for my white of the night, I went Kobe White.
You did.
I did. That was my play. For my nuke of the night, I went Jalen Green. Now, I desperately wanted to keep this color theme going, particularly for Amber Heard. But I can't really take Jaylen Brown or Troy Brown for the Amber Heard play, even though Brown would be perfect in this scenario. So I'm out of colors. I lost everything that I wanted this to be. So this gimmick is going to go out with a bit of a whimper. It's DeMar DeRozan for me. He's going to go out there and absolutely destroy. Yeah. I'm not going to have him. And it's going to ruin any possibility of Kobe White being the true white of the night. So DeMar DeRozan, come on down. Get comfortable. Get a squatty potty. You're going to put that one in the middle of my pillow. I'm quite sure of it.
My brother swears by the squatty potty. He thinks it's
we bought one right out of the gate. I didn't enjoy it.
Really? I still can't get over just how ridiculous it looks, and I would never want it like in my house where somebody else saw it. So that was kind of what kept me away from it. So I'm glad to hear it like isn't all it's hyped up to be, because he literally only raves about that fucking thing.
I never, all my poops have always been great. And besides, I don't need to change the angle on a jet stream of brown water. That we just need to get it in the bowl as fast as possible. Tucking my knees to my head isn't going to help things at all.
The Josh Engleman shit of the night.
Look, man, when you drink 4 iced coffees and you have to put in double sixes constantly, thanks to Jordan Klein, man, it comes out.
Double sixes? Why are you the way that you are? Jordan, what did you do to him? Buddy.
Addictive personality, I guess.
Buffalo slots. Buffalo slots.
Oh, that's thanks to one Ben Raza, who you could watch on playback after this with Greg Ehrenberg. Go to playback.tv/stochastic. They will be breaking down games and news, certainly talking bets if Ben's going to be there. But Buffalo slots ruined me. I would dump $100 every time I produce the Tuesday golf show. It
was unbelievable.
Every time.
I was going to say, you used to produce that for us. That was great.
I did. It was Ben and Tim Frank. We would hop on, Ben and I would hop on early. I'd blow through $100 pretty quickly, maybe 200. Then we would do the show and I'd probably do it again over and over and over again. I would share my screen with Ben and we would just play slots.
What a time to be alive, friends. What a time to be alive.
Oh God. Ben P. Josh, you got to try 32 milligram Siberia pouches. Nah, man. That's
what?
No.
Dude. It's like the Sex Panther cologne of pouches. And no, you don't want to do that. It'll kill someone.
I would run. I'd be able to run to Siberia if I popped one of those in my mouth. Good God. I wouldn't even notice the cold.
It sounds like pain and suffering personified in pouch form. No, thank you.
Anything else you want to touch on before we're about to roll into lock here? I think we've pretty well covered this slate. I don't see anybody in my exposures that we didn't at least talk about.
Do you have any Trey Murphy?
No. One share, but I think that's the same answer.
It's one of those things when you bet all the props of somebody because you kind of just disagree with every line. 15 and a half on the points at Prize Picks, and looking at 30.5 fantasy score and everything there. It was awesome. Like I feel like I got really good value there, but I just don't think I'm going to end up landing on him here. I have 5%. So he's in a grand total of, what is that? Ended up playing 40 lineups. So 5%, he's just barely showing up. So to a 40. Not gonna be really that worried about it. But it's more of just like looking at the Pelicans minutes for some of the guys and seeing what's projected and seeing what that upside is. For him, that right tail, they're still going to take him out of the game. They're not going to play him like 44, I would think. There's definitely an opportunity for Dyson Daniels to come in and play well, and you don't have to keep Trey Murphy out as much. And then for J-Val, I mean, for me, that's the main thing to be paying attention to. I just think J-Val is such an amazing tournament play on a day like this. I don't think he's going to go completely overlooked. It would appear that he's not. I just think that if you get Najee Marshall out, this is the best tournament play on the slate, and I'm just going to have an eternal amount.
Loving Life says, who's watching Fallout? I don't know what that is, so definitely not me.
So isn't that a video game?
That I know of.
Yeah.
Did they make it a TV show?
Game. Wouldn't surprise me. They did. Is it good? Oh, The Last of Us is so good that I can't even stand it. I was a big Walking Dead guy, and now I also played The Last of Us for like hours and hours and hours when that came out, and then unfortunately I played The Last of Us 2, so I know where the storyline goes, but it sucks. You obviously have not seen it, have you?
The show?
Yeah, have you?
I loved it. It was great.
Yeah, absolutely phenomenal. I hate that I know what happens next. I wish I didn't.
What the hell were we just talking? Yeah, I don't know anything about Fallout. Jordan Villalobos, White or Trey Murphy? That's White for me.
Eric would thrive in a zombie apocalypse. I sure would. I'm always energetic, always awake, would be on alert. I would set traps. I'm an absolute sniper. Like there's absolutely no way that a zombie would fucking kill me. I would absolutely punch that zombie directly in the face. I'm really good with a hatchet. Like anytime you go to the bar and play those hatchet games, I'm really good at those. Yeah, zombie apocalypse. I'm your guy. No, you might want to die spending a couple days with me, though.
No, you're going to get bit hanging out with Leanna Mormont in 45 minutes.
Why her?
Because she's the main character of Last of Us. What do you want me to do here, man?
But why? No, I'd crush it with her. We'd crush.
You think you're going to be the Pedro Pascal in this scenario? Get out of here. What are you talking about?
It's weird having two, like, Game of Thrones alums. They're just so damn good together there.
He's so much better in Last of Us than he was in Game of Thrones. If he didn't have that cocky attitude, he would have been alive and killed the mountain. Yeah. Spoiler alert, everybody.
Then I smashed her head in like this. Boom. Good times.
I never really got into Walking Dead. I read it a lot, but I never watched the show.
It is so good. It gets really, really slow for like seasons 4, 5, 6. But then Negan shows up at the end of season 6, and it is absolute fire. Season 7 is absolute fire.
You mean Hillary Burton's husband? That's all I know him as.
It is, yeah. Well, he's like the guy from Grey's Anatomy, yeah, Negan.
No, just Hillary Burton's husband.
Okay, that's chill.
Yeah. Shout out One Tree Hill, baby. I got to represent for Wilmington, North Carolina.
One Tree Hill was actually pretty good.
Love the show. Yeah. Part of the reason I live here, which is a pretty
real?
lame thing to say. It's not like it's not the only reason I would move here, but it was appealing to know that like the show was here and the city was cool.
Good stuff.
Anyway, that's going to do it. Live Before Lock is done. We are heading over to Playback exclusively. Go to playback.tv/stochastic. If you have League Pass, join us. You can sync it right up. If you don't, cross your fingers. You might be able to grab one of our 40 VIP passes. Good luck tonight. Final regular season weekday stream coming tomorrow. Cannot wait to close this one down because soon enough, we get to talk about real basketball. Good luck, everybody. We'll talk to you later. RIP OJ.